Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Adobe. It is time for another update, and on this chart we have been tracking this idea of a larger wave 4 correction that would be taking place in a 3-wave pattern into the area of support between the $314 all the way down to the $126 level. For us, the accumulation area has started around the $260 level, and it has been only the beginning really, because this is certainly a longer term play. But in either case, we were expecting with high probabilities to reach at least around this area where we had some additional structural support, which could have allowed us to form a more substantial bottom and potentially even start the wave 5 to the upside, although it wasn't going to be a level that was going to provide a certain recovery and a reversal. Now, nonetheless, we are still looking for the reversal to the upside in a wave 5 within this idea of an impulse against the $126 level at the 50% retracement. We have some additional structural support here around the $206-$205 area, and we have the 38.2% retracement still ahead of us, which can be considered the ideal target for a wave 4. It is probably the most common area to form a bottom to complete the wave 4. Now, in this structure, we have been focusing on this idea of an ABC pattern. We are looking for a pretty basic correction in a wave 4, ABC structure, and the ideal target for the wave C is the 100% extension of the wave A. In the case of this chart, that sits at the $251 level, around that area. We have already achieved that, but we aren't necessarily looking at a bottom just yet, because this structure at the moment does seem a bit incomplete. It seems like it would prefer to form additional lows before looking for the reversal to have already started. Nonetheless, this doesn't mean we cannot start accumulating, in my opinion, and certainly other interpretations are possible, some of them much more bearish, some of them would allow even the break of the area of support, but I believe we are looking at some interesting opportunities on this chart. So, from a larger time frame perspective, before we move into the smaller time frame, I just wanted to outline the RSI. So here on the daily, we do not see anything too substantial within the larger time frame, but within the smaller time frame, we do start to see some strong divergences in this latest extension to the downside, this latest wave 5 we have been tracking internally within this area. But on the weekly, we see something even more interesting, because even though we don't have a hidden bullish divergence based on these lows, we have reached such an oversold level that we haven't seen since we have bottomed in this larger wave 2 correction before we started our rally for the wave 3 to the upside. We have gone from around the $22 area up to the nearly $700 area from such an oversold territory on the weekly chart. This is a strong indication for me that we do not need to extend much lower. The structure is prepared to form such an extension in a wave 5, and if we consider where we are in this larger pattern, well, it is a wave 5 of a large wave 3 of an even larger wave 3. Now, I cannot even tell you exactly how many 1-2 setups we would have within this area, but the potential is there. We could be looking at such an extension similar in proportions with what we had even within this internal wave 3 to the upside. Oftentimes, within the 5th wave, we see movements that are even stronger than the wave 3 itself in such a large wave 3. Nonetheless, we would still be in a correction at this point. We still need to be careful, but we are looking for the reversal. We are looking at this area of support with great interest, and it hasn't been long since the last video on Adobe, but I do consider it deserves some additional attention, as we have finally reached our area that allows it to become much more interesting for potential opportunities. Now, of course, I'm not giving any financial advice here. I'm just sharing my thoughts, my opinion on the potential of this chart, on the potential of this structure, and this doesn't mean that it will succeed, okay? And below the 50% retracement is a strong signal that this structure would have failed to follow through its expectations, and that we should be prepared for something potentially much more bearish to be going on, where it could imply quite a bit of troubles below the 50% retracement. Now, in the internal structure, we are looking at this wave C to unfold within a 5-wave pattern. The wave C is always a 5-wave pattern, and we are at the moment tracking it as a potential impulse where we would have a wave 1, 2, 3, and 4 in place, and a 5th wave would be the one that would be unfolding at the moment. Now, again, different structures could work out within this area, but this is my focus. This is what I'm looking for before I can consider a pattern, a wave C within this area, to have a clearly full count. Because sure, if I am to zoom out on the weekly or the monthly, I could consider the wave 4 itself to have a full count, but internally within this area on the daily, we see more clearly defined structures that would prefer strongly that this wave C would extend to lower prices, as this 5th wave does not yet have a full structure in my opinion. So, within this larger impulse, within this 5th wave, we have been tracking an ending diagonal, which means that within each of the subwaves, for example within this wave 3 in yellow, we are looking for an A, B, C structure to unfold before we would consider a more substantial bottom to be in place. It's not the only possible interpretation. I could see this wave 5 even unfold as an impulse, where the wave 1 could have bottom here, we would have a wave 2 top here, and a wave 3 would still be extending. And I have to say, at this point, this structure could very easily extend even lower. We will be tracking the internal count in a moment. But before that, I wanted to briefly mention our channel newsletter, where you get access to our monthly top picks, where we identify for you those high quality structures that provide clear areas of accumulation and clear levels of invalidation, where it simplifies trading so much and it provides a lot of support in creating a risk management plan, because you have the invalidation area. For example, on this chart, we know that below the 50% retracement, the probabilities for continuation to higher prices would be extremely questionable, especially within the idea of an impulse. We would need to be looking for less favorable structures to work out, and we would need to be prepared for potentially a much stronger descent into even lower prices. This chart is actually a good example of what we could be looking for accumulation for a stock to be considered as part of our list. Now, the link for sign up is in the description. It is completely free, but if you enjoy our content and you want to support us, you can check out our channel membership. The link for sign up is in the description as well, or you can click the join button and you will get access to additional content, stocks and assets that we cannot even cover on the channel because they just don't perform too well and they hurt our channel's algorithm, because not a lot of you actually want to watch those specific assets, even though they may have extremely promising structures, extremely promising fundamentals. But yeah, it's just the case. For example, on the Dell chart and on the gold chart, we see a lot of potential, but for example, not a lot of people have been watching these videos, so we have covered them for the members only. Now, if you want to learn more about our membership and what we provide, there's more to that. You can watch our channel update video where we discuss a bit more about the channel newsletter as well and what should be expected from us in the future too. Now, let's go back to the chart. So here within this structure, within this wave C, we have been considering a potential bottom even in the previous video. We have been preferring to actually extend to lower prices within this wave C, and we actually had here a quite clear structure that was defined in a potential impulse in a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Now, we were looking for the potential wave 4 correction to have already started, but this was assuming that this wave 3 would have already had a bottom in place. So in the previous video, we have provided this area of support to look for a push into our large area of resistance in orange that started only at the $272.8. Now that we got this extension in this wave 3, well, we would need to readjust this area of resistance, but nothing too substantial besides this would actually require change. Now, I won't go too much into the internal structure within this area, but I believe it is much more likely at this point that a bottom would be in place. For example, if we go here on the 4-hour time frame, we see some additional divergences within this structure, and in this fifth wave at the moment, I believe it is best to consider an ending diagonal to be in formation where I would look at this as a potential 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Something along those lines where, sure, we may have something like an A, B, C structure in a wave 5, doesn't matter exactly. I am looking to reach the $267.4, at least if we have already formed the bottom within this wave 3, to consider a potential top within our larger wave 4 before we extend in a fifth wave to even lower prices. Now, in addition to this, we have also been considering that it is technically possible that this wave 3 in yellow could form a bottom sooner than we may realize, because there is no guarantee that we are going to form an impulse within this wave C, and in such a scenario, I would have to assume that it is also available to us to look for the larger wave 4 correction, but really only if we manage to break the 50% retracement that we would currently be tracking for the orange interpretation, and I don't believe this will be the case at the moment, so for now, we are focusing on this chart still on continuation to lower prices, and only if we break above the $295 level in a sustained manner can we really start to look for something actually potentially more bullish. But as a level to watch that we would need to break for a substantial bottom to be in place within the entire wave 4 correction in white, I would need to see the $316 level broken. This is the ultimate level of resistance for a signal that these structures will not extend even lower. But for now, there isn't much else to add. Perhaps within the smaller time frame here, we can provide some insight as well, but nothing too substantial really. We just got a stronger candle here on the 15-minute chart as we opened today, and not much is going on within this area. I suppose we could be watching the 78.6% retracement for such an area of support, but nothing strongly suggesting that we should be looking for the wave 4 to have already started in this orange structure. So if we break the $247 level, we can look for yet another extension within this wave 3 to the downside. I am not ruling those out, although I would prefer to have a bottom in place at this point, since we have gotten our extension, and this wave 5 has a more clearly complete 5-wave pattern at this point. But for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.